guys, welcome back to the channel. So this next thing I wanted to talk about is that it's really important that the marriage be one where the two are working together for the same goal. You know, we've been talking about, how marriage is supposed to be and how God originally set marriage up to be. Well, marriage is supposed to be a reflection of God using this institution to further his kingdom. Everything that he creates here on earth, the purpose of it is to further his kingdom. So he creates us individually to further his kingdom. He creates us as parents to raise up children that will further his kingdom. It's all about bringing the what's on earth as it is in heaven. So we're trying to bring the things that go on in heaven down to earth. That's we're trying to let the world be able to see our God. And so marriage is no different. It's supposed to do that. And so in order to do that, it has to be very intentional and very planned that this is how we're going to live our life. This is what we're going to do. This is how we're going to behave, those kinds of things. And so marriage is supposed to be a partnership where the husband and wife work together to do that. So they together decide, this is what we want our marriage to do. This is what kind of parents we want to be. This is how we want to run our finances. This is how we want to, we want our relationship with each other to be. This is who, what ministries we want to support. Like all of those things, they need to work together. And so you'll see a lot of times when in toxic relationships, you'll have the husband controls all the finances, the wife doesn't get a say. Or you'll have, the wife makes all the decisions about parenting, the husband doesn't get a say. You know what I mean? And there's no harmony in terms of we're both working together. We're both deciding what's important. And then we're, individually helping carry that out with the gifts and talents God has given us. And so the way God originally meant it to be is a partnership. And one of the reasons why people don't understand that is because their view of God is already skewed. Most Christians don't misunderstand the fact that marriage is kind of like a, mirror of Christ's relationship with his church. They understand that. But as the church, they see Christ as, we're his servant and we do what he says and we don't have a say. And that's not how it is. The way that it is with God is that we are in a partnership, right? Where, yes, we accomplish his will, but we also have free will. And then on top of that, his will takes into consideration our desires, right? It takes into consideration what's important to us. It takes into consideration our personality. It takes all that into consideration. So even when we made the decision that we're going to participate in his will for us, it still takes us into consideration too. So we're working together to accomplish the will of God. So it is not just we're his servants and we just do whatever he says and we don't get a say and we're robots. Like that's not how Christianity works. And so that's also not how marriage works. And so there are so many people, especially when you're talking about the scriptures on submission, that they feel like, the wife is just supposed to do whatever the husband says, or vice versa. And that's just not biblical. And so when we're talking about the way God originally intended marriage to be, he intended it to be where you work together. Okay. And people usually can understand that, meaning you don't argue or fuss or fight, or you just kind of work together. We're in this together, but it really also needs to be, we're planning out the way we want to live our lives together, because there's so many times when there is a decision about the kids, or there's a decision about buying a new car, or there's a decision about, we got this bonus check, what are we going to do about it? And there's fighting on the issue because you don't have a plan. You don't know, you haven't defined how we want to run this marriage together. You haven't defined these are the things that are important to us, not to me or you, us. And so that's the way God originally, meant for marriage to work. When it says that he is the head and then we're under him, it's his plan and we're implementing his plan, and his plan, takes into consideration both parties in the marriage, right? So he's considering the husband, he's considering the wife, and he's considering both of you guys, and you both have a role to play, and you are playing your roles together and you're working together. And so why is this important? This is important because one of the biggest things that people get wrong when it comes to marriage is compatibility. If you guys are not compatible and you don't have anything in common, it's going to be very difficult for you to come up with a plan together that you both are okay with. You know, it's going to be the things that he's going to want to add to the plan, you're not going to want to add, and things that you're going to want to add to the plan, he's not going to want to add. And then it makes it to where you guys can't agree because you guys are not compatible, and you decided to get married anyway. So now it's like you're wondering why it doesn't work, you know? And so this is one of the biggest mistakes that people make, is that they get married because, oh, I love him, or he loves me, or they get married because you got soul ties because you've been sleeping together when, you know, hello, you weren't supposed to be doing that. And so there's just all kinds of reasons why people get married that has nothing to do with, you know, A, did God call us to get married, right? Is this his idea or ours? And B, are we compatible, right? And so if you can check the first box of did God call us to get married, you're going to be able to automatically check the second one, because he's not going to put two people together that aren't compatible, right? That aren't going to be able to have your plan and purpose and your personality complement theirs, and then you work together to further the kingdom, right? That's how it works. But if you got an agenda that has nothing to do with his, he's got an agenda that has nothing to do with yours, but you're somehow trying to make this fit together when the puzzle pieces just don't fit, and then you wonder why you're having problems. So as we wrap up this series of how marriage is supposed to work, it's supposed to work where the two are supposed to be working together to, further the kingdom. And so that's one of the many, many reasons why it is important to hear God as it pertains to who you're supposed to marry, because he is taking all those things into consideration. And that's another reason why it's hard for people to know if they're compatible or not, because I always tell people what needs to happen is that you need to run full force in what God's calling you to do. He needs to run full force in what God's calling him to do. And then once you are running as fast as you can in what God calls you to do, you look around and see who can keep up. That's usually one of those people is going to be usually who God has for you. But if you're sitting over here chilling, don't know what you called to do, and just, making up as you go, and he's sitting over here chilling, don't know what God's called him to do, and just roaming aimlessly, and y'all just happen to bump into each other, and then you decide we need to get married, that ain't gonna work. That ain't gonna work, because when you finally decide to wake up and do what God's called you to do, and he's still sitting over here chilling, roaming aimlessly, he gonna get on your nerves. And when he decides to wake up and do what God's called him to do, and he's all excited about it, and he's going full force, and you still sitting over here like, listen, I ain't signed up for that. It ain't gonna work. So this is why it's so important to know what God's called you to do, and be doing that before you get married. And before you decide to start dating anybody, then you will have a better chance of actually hearing God and doing what he says, and actually making sure that you're marrying the person that he wants you to marry. Usually when people aren't doing what God called them to do, it's because they don't even know how to hear God. So the two go hand in hand. So if you don't even know how to hear God, how are you going to hear him on who to marry? Gonna be real hard. So I want to talk about that. I think that's it for today. And I think that's going to wrap this series up. I don't think I have anything else to say on this series. If you are interested in learning more about, how to hear God concerning, whether or not you need to get a divorce, and you're having any kind of issues in your marriage and you're considering divorce, then please consider getting the authorized divorce course. Until next time, God bless you guys. Hi, my name is Amanda Nicole, and I'm a Christian life coach and divorce survivor. I'm passionate about seeing Christian women discover and participate in their God-given destiny. Many of us have had our destiny derailed by an ungodly marriage, which has left us broken and hurting. We stay in verbally, physically, and emotionally abusive marriages for fear that God will be mad at us, or that will ruin our kids' lives if we get a divorce. Most times, these fears are based in unbiblical scare tactics. I'm dedicated to shedding light on these lies and helping you experience freedom through divorce. My online school explores the truth about marriage, divorce, and the Bible, and I offer one-on-one life coaching for those who are seeking godly counsel unique to their specific situation. To learn more, subscribe to my channel, enroll in my authorized divorce online course, and/or visit my website and book a 1-hour coaching session with me. If you are a returning subscriber, thank you so much for your support. Please consider leaving a comment, sharing, and liking this video. Also, this channel content is made possible by generous subscriber donations. To donate, use the link in the description.